I got a lot of questions over the alleged video and audio specifications that I released this weekend. I'm going to show you the details my source provided me and explain the significance behind them. But to protect my source, I've recreated the image word for word, line by line, so I don't lead any breadcrumbs back to them. And for those familiar with the video recording reference charts at the back of the user manual, this should look familiar. I'm going to focus on the main movie recording modes and not the proxy recordings. But first, please subscribe to support more videos like this one. Hi, I'm Simon, your friendly videographer that also still likes to shoot stills. I scan the news and rumor sites, patent applications, pro forums, and viewer emails to bring you the latest news. And a big thanks to my source who provided me with these video recording options. Now, instead of just listing them off in this video, I'm going to provide you with an explanation behind them that actually makes more sense. So if you are a photographer that's looking at getting into video, but you're confused by things such as YCC420, AVC, XF-AVC S, well, you're going to want to watch this video. The first recording option is RAW. RAW video is minimally processed sensor data, captured before deburying and before white balance, gamma, noise reduction, or sharpening are applied. So it's essentially a digital negative for motion pictures. It provides us with maximum latitude in post, more dynamic range, and precise control over exposure, white balance, color grading, but at the cost of much larger files. And that's why we don't have anything in the column for image quality, at least not for RAW. The compression format options are standard RAW and light RAW. Now, RAW certainly gets the most attention. At least when the R5 came out, everyone talked about that it could do 8K RAW with autofocus and without that 1.7 times crop. But most people don't shoot RAW. In fact, the next two video recording modes are likely where most videographers operate. The first one is XF-AVC S YCC420 10-bit. And yes, it is a bit of a mouthful. XF-AVC S tells us that the movie recording format is using H.264. That's a video encoding codec, whereas XF-HEVC S tells us that the movie recording format is using H.265 as the encoding codec. The best way to look at these two, H.264 and H.265, is use H.265 if you want the same quality, but at half the size. The catch is, you want to make sure that your computer can encode H.265, because if it can't, well, it means the difference between taking, let's say, 10 minutes to export a video to, well, and I'm not kidding here, something more like half a day to 24 hours. On the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, I most often choose XF-AVC S YCC420 10-bit. But when I export, I always export in H.265, so I get the smaller file sizes at 25,000 megabits per second, which gives me slightly larger file sizes. So for example, let's say a 2-hour movie, that would result in a file size of roughly 30 gigabytes. YCC stands for Luminance and Chroma. 444 means no loss in luminance and no color loss, giving us perfect edges. In 444, every pixel is sampled for color and luminance. But if you've reached for your camera, you're not going to find it. 444 isn't going to be found on any consumer camera anytime soon. It's just too much of a resource-intensive hog for very little gain. The R6 Mark III will provide YCC422. Luminance is sampled for every pixel, but color information is halved horizontally, making the edges just a little bit softer. And 420, also offered by the Canon EOS R6 Mark III, provides color information reduced again both horizontally and vertically, but luminance remains intact, being sampled for every pixel. So why is Canon choosing to not reduce the luminance, capturing it for every pixel? Well, this just isn't what Canon does. You'll find that with Sony, with Nikon, quite often you'll see 10-bit 422, 8-bit 422, 420. You're never going to see 444, and you're unlikely to see some of those other options if you're thinking of 222, 220. 422 and 420 are the most common options. So why the loss? And that's a very good question because, well, our eyes are more sensitive to brightness. We call that luminance, and far more sensitive than color. So if we want to reduce the sizes, if we want to compress, reduce the size, have a much smaller format that's also manageable, you're better off to preserve the luminance information, and then you're going to be able to preserve the sharpness a whole lot better. But when it comes to 8-bit versus 10-bit, 10-bit helps us get better skin tones because the camera can work with 4 times the amount of code values. The end result? Well, we get smoother tonal and color gradients, fewer banding, posterization artifacts, finer skin tone nuances, and a more robust footage for grading, especially with log, as I'm shooting right here in low light. And for this recording codec, our only option is long op. It's also known as IPB because the generated P frames and B frames are sandwiched between each image frame. We also get 4K fine in this movie recording format, along with DCI 4K, UHD 4K, 2K, and Full HD. So what's the difference between DCI 4K and UHD 4K? Well, DCI 4K has a resolution of 4096 by 2160 versus UHD, which has a resolution of 3840 by 2160. So what impact does that have? Which one should you choose? Well, to give you an idea, I always shoot in UHD 4K because, well, my televisions and monitors are all UHD, and all my displays, well, they're also UHD. So that's why I shoot in UHD. But if you shoot in DCI, you can always crop down to UHD. But if you shoot in UHD and you need to go back up, well, it doesn't work out nearly as well because you suffer from image degradation. I love these two recording options. They deliver 10-bit 420 and 10-bit 422 in H.265. But I'm not a big fan of the recording format, long op. And that's why I love the next recording format. Being XF-AVC, we're getting H.264. No issues with quality, just larger files. We also get YCC420 and 10-bit. This is the same recording format that I use on the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. But the good news, well, doesn't end here. For those demanding intra, we can choose high quality intra, standard intra, and light intra. Or we can choose long op to save space for those still using 64GB cards. Now, if you're confused by the term intra, you might be more familiar with the term all-I. That's really the same thing. Canon switched to industry standard naming, so instead of using all-I now, we use intra, and instead of using IPB, we use long op. Intra is where the camera encodes an image every frame. Long op uses an image frame followed by P and B frames that are made up looking at the keyframes and the P frames. If you're shooting talking head videos like this one, then you're not going to lose anything by going with long op, especially if storage is a concern. Now, 420 won't be a concern either, nor will 8-bit. But if there is a lot of random movement in a frame, like water, like Niagara Falls here, where water is misting and moving fast between frames, or you're shooting in the snow, especially blowing snow, or the rain-drenched mountains of the Pacific West, definitely go with intra. High-quality intra is only available in 4K fine modes, not in 2K or Full HD. It's nice to see that Canon isn't crippling the EOS R6 Mark III video capabilities. I mean, all eyes back in the camera. We've got YCC422, 420, we got 10-bit, we got 8-bit. We have so many options, including H.264 and H.265. Canon's giving us the tools we need to create or capture excellent video footage while also increasing the resolution in photo modes from 24 megapixels, a size of resolution that many people were unhappy with, now all the way up to 32 megapixels. But some, maybe you, Kathy, might wonder if there's a discernible difference between these codecs in terms of output. How do things look? All footage that I've shown you in this video is shot with the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, with the exception of Niagara Falls, which was shot on the Mark I. For each video, I set up using XF-AVC S YCC420 10-bit, with Canon Log 2 on the Mark II and Canon Log 3 on the Mark I. The color, dynamic range, skin tones, and lack of noise is amazing. But now for our final video recording format, XF-AVC S YCC420 8-bit. It also provides us with 4K fine in UHD and DCI. We get to record in 2K DCI, Full HD, but the compression format is standard long GOP. XF-AVC S 420 10-bit is not a video recording format that I would use. Like I said, my favorite is XF-AVC S YCC420 10-bit with Canon Log 2. But all these video recording formats for the Canon EOS R6 Mark III give us plenty of options. They offer us 10-bit 422, high-quality intra, 4K fine, and DCI recording. Capabilities the Mark II just doesn't have. Are you still with me? My goal was to break down these recording formats for photographers who want to understand, well, what recording modes actually mean, and videographers who are still confused by some of the terminology that Canon has switched to, moving away from IPB and All-I to things such as, well, YCC422, XF-AVC, XF-HEVC. If you're still confused, go ahead and drop a question in the comment section, and I'll get to it. And please do me a favor, help me out by subscribing. It means more to me. Well, it means so much to me, and I just want to say a big thanks for those of you subscribing, commenting, and supporting this channel. Key takeaways here. 4K fine is offered in all modes, and that's a great thing. We have intra recording in various compression options. We have the choice between H.265 and H.264, and of course, raw recording in a Canon 6 series. What we don't have yet are the frame rates for each codec, which is what I'm waiting for now. It takes time to put together this video and even try to enunciate my words. So if you're interested in pre-ordering the Canon EOS R6 Mark III, please consider using my affiliate links to pre-order the Canon EOS R6 Mark III from B&H and Adorama in the United States, Wexphoto and Video in the United Kingdom, and Photoco in Europe. I get a small commission back with each purchase, helping to keep the lights on, and it's very much appreciated. Now, the pre-order links, the smart pre-order links that I have in the description right now, they're not going to work right now. They'll just bring you to a random page or a search page, but as soon as the embargo's lifted, that's when they'll work, and that's on November the 6th at midnight Toronto and New York time. Canon hasn't officially announced it yet, but I've got a source allegedly tells me that that is the time, and if things change, I'll let you know. I'll also cover the announcement live with my expert guest panel, and we'll start 1 hour before Canon's announcement. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back here tomorrow with another video.